Hello, welcome to my first update on the Brick Guitar build. And again, I am A-Train Builds, and we are on a journey to creating what I'm just going to assume is the world's first self-playing Lego guitar that we hope to unveil at Brickworld 2027. And we have just started this project, and by we, I mean me. And I've got a little bit of progress. I've been thinking a lot about it, and this weekend finally started to actually do some building. And so I will show you as best I can this thing. And again, we're still getting used to the videos. And so what my goal was this weekend was to see, could I string a string on a way using Lego that will allow it to be played like a guitar. So if you listen, I don't know if you can hear this. You can hear it a little bit. We have succeeded, and it is on here. It is decent. It doesn't look like much. Right? What we have is a one-string manual. You know, I can even play different notes. Not that I know how to play guitar, which you hear that's lighter, and it's a little rattly. So here's what I've learned. So this is what I really wanted to do, is document what has happened. And let's look at it a little bit more in this view. Let's see, here is the adjustment mechanism that I created. We have down here, you should be able to see, we've got, so the string is wrapped around here, string is wrapped around there, and it's using one of these hinge, I don't know what anything's called, so bear with, but half of one of those ratchety, hingey things, that's what they're called, I think. I looked them up on Bricklink. But we've got some axles and stuff going on, obviously a lot of Technic, and I kind of really liked what I came up with here, because this thing spins, and then I've got these little pins here I can plug into place and that hold that into place, because I looked at doing things like with gears, and that really just wasn't going to fly. It's under so much torque. Having a couple extra axles like this really seems to help. So I like that design. And then on the back end, and obviously it's a real guitar string. So that was something that I knew from the beginning, you know, we would need to use real guitar strings, but then the hope is to make everything else Lego. And at the bottom here, we're using that same mechanism with the ratchety hinge pieces. Again, I'm new at this. And then we have the string dropping down into this with a guitar string has this little knobby thing at the end here. And so that string comes through, and I just have it hooked into one of these little axle things just so that it doesn't fly back through this. But if I break a string or something like that, it's actually pretty quick to pull this out and return it to the other side. And so I can restring it pretty easily, which was a consideration. So let me talk about what I've also learned. You might be able to see. Let me see if I can show you this. It's slightly bowed. So if I have it on the ground here, which is kind of hard to do perfectly because there's some things sticking out of the back. Now that I've gone, so I started with 2 deep on the Technic bricks, and now I've made it 4. And so that's pretty solid throughout. And I've also been using these little pin things to try to help it keep from curving. And I've done a reasonable job. You can see here, like, it's not bowed too badly, but it's still bowed a little. Now, I'm trying to think about when we have 6 strings, this is going to be a mess, but I'm not going to try to solve that problem just yet. I think that the mass of what we're going to need to build with the mechanism for the playing of it, we're going to have to figure that out. So you can see, like, I push it in a little bit, and you can see a couple of those pins falling out because some of them are under stress to, like, keep it from bending more, but that's definitely going to be a thing. Now, I have a backup plan if I need to. So you can see at the ends here, the strain, and this is something to think about as with a guitar, is that all of this tension is going horizontal. Like it's really pulling inwards, right? And so that's causing this bowing to happen, which is fine. The thing is that to offset it, if I'm holding on the edges and pushing down, so if I'm pushing down on the edges a little bit, I can make that bowing go away very easily. And I want to see, I don't think you can hear that. Hold on, let me just see if I can put my mic towards it. But you can hear, it sounds okay when I like hold it up against the desk. It's not bad, right? I'm kind of plucking at it, and it's not too bad. But if I let that tension slack, it gets a little bit. You can hear it, right? So that's something that I'm working on. And so again, the whole point of documenting this journey is I want to show you kind of that thinking process. How do I go through this whole thing? let me go back to, we can see it starting to take shape, and I can offset these. I can make this a little bit longer. I see how I can do all 6 strings. I still have some questions, right? How do I make it strong enough so it doesn't bow more when we have 6 times the tension on it? But then also, what do I do? So if I'm pulling down on the ends and offsetting the strain of this, there's some physics that happens here, some engineering, and it's actually not going to be too bad. So I'm kind of delaying on that. But I just did this today. I'm going to leave it like this at tension and see how it does over the next week or so. And so to me, that's the kind of piece to this that I'm interested in seeing is, will this hold up for a little while, or is the strain going to get to these pieces and is it going to break like the bridge isn't engineered well? It might take years, but that bridge is going to fail. Like I can already see, I don't know if you can see this. This is already bending. Like you can see the axles are starting to bend slightly. And again, I can always go and use metal pieces if I really need to, but my hope is to try to make this so that it's all out of Lego. And so far, it's gone better than I expected. I expected this to be even worse, but the challenge is still ahead. But I'm going to shift gears. So we're going on a little vacation for this next week, and I'm going to be thinking about this, but I'm going to shift gears because the next step in this process that I want to do is I want to create something that can first pluck the string with the motor, and I have some powered up motors. I'm going to use Pi bricks, and I want to have something that'll pluck the string, and then I'm going to have something that will pinch the string and start to make sounds. If I can solve those and then figure out how I can multiply to 6, then the hardest parts of this were past. Like to me, like that's the thing. If I can figure out the engineering and the mechanics of all of those things, which is going to take some time, but if I can do that, then I know it can be done. Like that's, to me, that's a good path to doing this, is that if you know you've solved what should be the hardest problem, you can probably solve all the other hard problems. So that's the thinking. That's what we're heading towards. But I wanted to document this in this very early stage of seeing, okay, here's what we started with. I am pretty sure none of this is going to look like this when we're done. Like none of this is actually going to be this form and this shape. And who knows, I might even get rid of the whole Technic things. I don't know. But for now, it's a working prototype and we're on our way. We're on our way. There's a physical manifestation of this crazy idea that I have, and let's see if we can't keep iterating and making it better until we have what we want. So with that, thank you for joining me on this. I will continue to make these updates, and I will continue to carve them up and put them into the shorts that you're going to see on Instagram and TikTok and on YouTube. But just know that the long form YouTube videos are really the core. Like that's what you should be watching. These other ones are just little bite-sized pieces that might be interesting but don't really tell you the whole story, and I'm going to try to document that in these longer form videos and then share some of those tidbits in the short form videos. So I think that's what we're going to do. I'm also going to do some lives at some point, but right now it's been more about just trying to get going, and we'll see how that goes from here on out. So thank you for joining me here, and we will see you on the next one. Thank you.